Welcome to the Going North podcast, where you will be encouraged, informed, and empowered to embrace your dreams and advance in life through authorship. I'm your host, bestselling author, certified leadership trainer, and book enthusiast Dom Brightman. Be sure to check out the goods and services from every guest, as well as some of the books from yours truly, the host. Now let the fun begin. And today on the Going North podcast, we're back at you again with another author, baby, another author. I feel like I haven't said that part of the intro in a while. We have another author in the house, baby, and this author is a special case indeed, because another fabulous author from the CEP, the Creative Edge Publicity Group, with the magical Mickey Mickelson, Mr. Eminem himself. And it's connected with some fabulous authors who's been writing some fabulous novels. And this author in particular is known for historical Western and contemporary romance, as well as cozy mysteries. And she's one heck of a wordsmith, too, which is even more fabulous. And she has so many books out there. This is like the first for this podcast. And she's been doing this for a while. She's coming up on her 7-year anniversary this year as well with the writing books. And she's got about 17 of them out there that I know of. And there's no telling how many more she plans to release. So let's give it up for the one, the only, KR herself, Miss Kristine Raymond. How you feeling today, ma'am?
I am wonderful. I love that introduction. Thank you. I feel all sparkly.
All right, good. Mission accomplished. All right, beautiful. Yep, it's usually that, and then 5 minutes in, I say the tree joke, and then listeners like, "Oh God, Dom's at it again."
Well, I can't wait to hear the tree joke.
But they ain't come here for the tree joke. They can't hear about Kristine. So, mind filling in some cavities where I missed some things, and tell us who is the fabulous Kristine.
Well, you're right. I began writing actually, it was September 2013. So when you said I'm coming up on a 7-year anniversary, I was like, wow, has it been that long? But yes, it has. I started off writing historical Western romance. That's just a genre it's a genre I love, but I love the Old West too. I always have, even since I was a kid. So it just seemed really natural for me to start writing in that era. It's the books take place in the mid to late 1800s Arizona territory. And so that's the Hidden Spring series. And I moved from that to contemporary romance just to give myself a break, and kind of went back and forth a little bit while I was finishing up Hidden Springs. And then last year, I just kind of almost did a U-turn and decided to step away from romance. And at first, I thought I was going to write a thriller. That's what I sat down to write. I thought, yeah, I'm going to get right into this. And what came out of my brain and out of my fingertips onto the computer was a cozy mystery called Finagled. And I'm absolutely in love with the main character, Finn Bartusiak. She may or may not be mirrored on me a little bit. You know, there may be some parallels there. But it was such a fun book to write. I'm absolutely in love with Finn and the town of Port New and her grandparents and her parents and her love interest. I will say that there is a little bit of romance, because I discovered I couldn't completely get away from romance. And it's just so much fun. And I'm currently working on the second book, Finicky Eaters.
Looks like somebody has a lot of love in their life. Can't escape the romance, huh?
No, it's just, I guess I'm a romantic at heart. I just kind of just like making those connections between people. But that was one of the interesting things about writing the cozy mystery, is I had to pull myself back sometimes from making the romance be at the forefront, because that's not what the book's about. The book's about the mystery. So it was a very interesting balance for me to write something completely new in a new genre and produce a story that I was happy with the way it is, but also still sticking with kind of the expectations of what readers want in a cozy mystery. Because they don't, I've found that most readers don't mind a little bit of romance, a little love interest or something like that, kind of a subplot, but they don't want that to be the focus of the story. So there were several times where I'm writing a scene and I'm like, nope, pull it back. Back it up. Bring that truck back.
Exactly. It's like, all right, so we're finally back on the main story after that darn intrusive subplot. And then out of nowhere, another
That's
romantic
right.
interest appears. It's like, did those say intrusive subplots? You're like, no.
Exactly. You get it.
Oh, man. But hey, that's fabulous, though. And it's actually interesting about that because it's kind of like with our own comfort zones. It's like that's really where we feel where we're strongest at. And it's always going to show up in multiple ways and just finding ways to make yourself expand and reel that in a bit is very interesting.
It is. I find writing in general just to be fascinating. Just the process to have an idea and develop it into a story that maybe wasn't even what you intended. I mean, that happens to me all of the time. I now I'm not a plotter. I don't sit and outline or anything like that. I know who my main characters are. I know kind of what I want to have happen. I usually know my beginning, as in my first sentence or my first paragraph, and usually know how I want it to end up, although it rarely does end the way I want it to. But then I just kind of go with the flow and see where the story takes me. And it's such a fun process because it's truly is the characters telling me their story, what they want to do, rather than me writing what I want them to do. And I know for all the non-authors out there, they just don't understand that concept, but that's really what it is. You kind of become a a vessel for these characters that are talking to you, and you're just doing your job and writing down what they're telling you. At least that's how it feels for me. And I've chatted with other authors who find the same thing.
Right. Yeah, yes indeed. Yes indeed. Especially when it comes to writing novels too.
Oh yeah, because you're making up the story, so it's fictional, but at the same time, at least for my stories, there are always pieces of reality woven into it, whether it's a character that is based on someone I know, or certain characteristics of a character based on people I know, or the setting, or sometimes even part of the storyline can be something that either has happened to me or something I've witnessed, but you put it together in such a way that the story is still made up because these aren't real people. They are fictional characters. And it's just, I don't know, it's an interesting dynamic to me. And as long I think as long as I still find that fascinating, I'll keep writing. And I have like tons of story ideas. I have several for the Finn's Finds mystery series. I still have that thriller idea. I do still want to write a thriller. I'll go back to romance. I'll probably go back to historical romance. There's no end in sight.
Well, that's the good thing too. It's like you have a bunch of ideas and they'll always pop up eventually because I mean you already got a few books out there which is really put you at the head of the curve. So actually really allowed you to be able to get out so many books in 6 years. Because even though 6 years may not be a long time for some folks, it's can be hard to put out even more than one or two in that time, depending on your writing style and writing speed.
I wish I had a solid answer for that. I really don't know. I Writing was never an ambition of mine. I didn't grow up wanting to be an author or writing short stories or novels or anything like that. I did the kind of the typical teenage angsty journaling sort of stuff and wrote a few poems here and there when I was younger, but I never really wanted to be an author. And in 2013, a friend of mine had self-published a couple of books, and she was telling me about the process, and not just the writing process, but kind of the whole technical, how a book is formatted and you get it up on Amazon and the whole self-publishing thing. And I thought, that sounds really cool. I haven't done that yet because I try new things all the time. And I was like, I wonder if I could write a book. And I sat down over Labor Day weekend and started writing Here to Stay, which is the first in the Hidden Springs book or Hidden Springs series. And at the time, I only planned to write one book. But as I was writing it, other characters emerged, and I was like, oh, okay, I could write a story about them, and I could write a story about them. So one book became three books. And those first three books were out. Here to Stay was released in November 2013. And the third book, Abby's Heart, was released in February 2014. So that I had those three books out pretty quickly. And then it just expanded into, it was going to be a series of 8 books and ended up becoming 9 because characters just kept popping into my head and saying, hey, write about me. And then in the meantime, again, I would reach a point where I was sort of a little burnt out on writing historical Western romance. So I wrote a couple of contemporary, and I don't know, it just kind of snowballs. And then even with all of these ideas that I have and wanting to get out, more cozy mystery books, in the midst of all that, I started a podcast. And again, just because I could, it was like, I think I want to start a podcast. So I did. And that has taken a lot more time than I initially thought it would, which is a good thing.
Yep.
I mean, it's a good thing. I absolutely love podcasting. It's called Wordplay with Kristine Raymond. And each week I talk to 2 authors, and I learn about their processes and what got them into writing, and the things that they love about it or don't love about it. And just I love learning about other authors' perspectives on the thing that I love to do. But now, because the podcast is taking so much of my time that I didn't expect, my writing has slowed down a lot. So maybe it was that fate knew that I needed a really good backlist because I was going to be slowing down a little bit. Hey, I like that. I think I'll go with that.
Hey, that's cool. That's cool right there. That's cool. That's the thing about podcasting. If you do it right, you'll have a nice little backlog. The only thing is you have to make sure the backlog doesn't get too huge. That's the only drawback to that.
Well, right now I have 16 books out. You mentioned 17, but one of them is a box set of the Celebration series. So there are actually only 16 individual titles out. And they're in several different genres. So hopefully that gives readers, a chance to find something that they like. If they don't like historical Western romance, there's contemporary romance, there's an erotic drama, there's my cozy mystery. And yeah, I don't know. I can't envision a future where I'm not writing, even if I'm not writing the volume that I have in the past.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So that's real sweet. So any plans for the upcoming book? Do you think you might eventually make it the thriller novel that you've been trying to release for a while, or you actually gonna just say, you know what, we're gonna keep up this finagled goodness up here?
Well, Finicky Eaters is the second book in the Finn's Find series, so it will be a cozy mystery. And I have several book ideas planned for that series. The thrillers, I don't want to go into too much detail because that's kind of still forming in my brain and that might be several years off. I can tell you that I'm planning that to be a trilogy. So that's there. It's just not what's knocking on my brain right now, like saying, okay, you've got to write me right now. Now, that could change next month, but as has happened to me before. But right now, it's my concentration is on getting Finicky Eaters completed and out to the public because I've had a really good response to Finagled, which absolutely delighted me. Again, since it was my first attempt at a cozy mystery, I'm thrilled that readers enjoy it and love the character of Finn as much as I do. I mean, I think that's when you're an author, when readers embrace your characters and want to be friends with them, I think that's kind of like the best feeling in the world for an author.
Oh yes, indeed. It's like yes, success.
Yeah, yeah.
Woohoo! Fabulous right there. Fabulous right there. So congrats on yourself on the podcast. As you mentioned, two authors every week. So any reasoning behind the two authors every week on a Wednesday?
It just kind of started that way. The shows varied in length, anywhere from about 20 to 27 minutes, and I thought, two would be really good. I don't know. It just sounded good at the time. One didn't seem like it would be enough because I wasn't doing an hour-long show, and yeah, it just kind of caught on, and I've just let's see, today's Thursday, so yesterday uh, released my 156th episode. So 155 and 156 released yesterday.
Woohoo! That's right, 100 and up club. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah. It's a blast. I love talking to all of my guests. Like I said, I learned so much from them. It's fun. And as if I didn't have enough going on, I recently launched a second podcast that I co-host with author Don Hosmer, and it's called The Felonious Scribe. And those are actually video podcasts that you can watch on YouTube. So that's fun.
Oh yeah, fun on all the buns. It's like, hey, this podcasting is taking up a lot of time, which is good. You know what? Let me just start another one. Bring
I
someone
know,
else
right?
on.
I know. What was I thinking? But honestly, that's just kind of how I do things. It's like I'll get an idea and run with it and see what happens. And as long as I'm enjoying it and am able to balance everything, then yeah, I'll keep it going.
Oh yeah, 'cause it's good stuff. That's right, the good stuff. That's right, with four O's even. That's right, double the O's, double the good. Yes, indeed, like a W and a W. That's right, two of them. Yes, indeed. So with the two podcasts up now, and what's next for Kristine? My
Oh my
goodness.
goodness. Sleep? No. um, well, the main goal is to finish Finicky Eaters and get that out. I do not have a projected release date, but I plan to get it out this year. Yay. Which I know still leaves a lot of time, but yeah, get Finicky Eaters out, either start working on an Affinity for Murder, which will be the third Finn's Finds book, or I have a historical Western romance started that is not related to Hidden Springs. I have the idea for a contemporary romance series that is anywhere from 5 to 7 books. I have the thriller idea. So, yeah, I don't know. The ideas just keep coming. It's just me trying to keep up with them and get some stuff accomplished.
That's right. That's right. Accomplished indeed. Accomplished indeed. That's what I'm talking about. And speaking of accomplished, you got mighty fine reviews on both Goodreads and Amazon, which is really hard to do. So,
Yeah, I thank you. I mean, it's like I said, the reception for Finagled has just been tremendous. I couldn't be more pleased. It's I think when you write something that you really enjoy and you put it out there, you always run that risk that other people won't get what you're trying to say, or they don't have the same humor that you do. And to have people just love it, love Finagled, I'm thrilled. I really am. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for reading and reviewing it and for liking it.
yes, indeed. Because it can be hard to get reviews. 'Cause sometimes folks forget, like, yeah, I'm going to do a review. All right. And then, stranger out of nowhere is like, oh, yay, a review. Hooray. A drip out of the faucet. I have a whole class soon. Yay. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, since this isn't your, well, actually, since you're a fellow podcaster, any probably say your two best tips for those looking to start a podcast since we're kind of in a podcasting wave and with this extra free time from the pandemic nonsense, people are really going to dive in and try to start the podcast. So, any tips for the newbie podcast or those looking to start the podcast from your experience?
Sure. Well, the first thing is you don't need a lot of expensive equipment. And this is kind of part two of that. You don't need a lot of room either. I podcast from it in my office, and I have a little like 2 by 2 desk, little drawer thingy here that I have my stuff set up on. So you don't need a big elaborate studio or really expensive equipment. Just kind of do your research. I prefer a digital voice recorder because I can record onto an SD card and then put that into my computer and do my editing through Audacity. But just get yourself a good microphone. And the second thing is, just have fun with it. If you want to start one, start it. Like, don't get all caught up in all of the, oh, should I, or what's hot or what's this. Just go with it. I found that with everything in my life. If I question it or try to find all the reasons why I shouldn't do it, I'll find those reasons and I won't do it. So sometimes you just have to say, you know what? I'm just going to do it and let's see what happens. And you learn as you go.
There you go, solid advice right there. Because that's the beautiful thing about podcasting is that you really don't need to buy all this fancy equipment and whatnot. And if you have fun with it, that's even better. Because that's really what podcasting is just having fun. It's like, yeah, there's a select few who actually use it as a positioning tool to build their business and all the other good stuff. But hey, it's still good to make sure you actually have fun doing it. 'Cause that's the best thing about it.
Exactly. And just like with writing a book, if you're not having fun with whatever you choose to do, if you're not having fun with it, that comes through, and your audience is going to feel that. They're going to feel that you're just doing it to do it. You're just putting the words down on the page, or you're just speaking into a microphone because you think that you have to. And you want to engage your audience. You want them to have as much excitement by reading or listening or viewing or whatever it is that you put into it. I think that's really important to remember. Just have fun with it.
That's right. Fun on the bun. Yes, indeed. Gotta have fun with it, indeed. Sweet. So since this ain't your first interview rodeo, is there a question that you wish interviewers or podcasting hosts in general would ask you more often when you're doing interviews like these?
Honestly, no. I really like the freestyle. I like just just having a conversation and about whatever topic comes up. I think I don't know. That just seems more natural to me. I always feel like if I have questions coming at me, I feel like I did back in high school where I didn't study for a test. It's like, oh no, am I going to answer this the right way? Am I going to answer what people expect to hear? So I'm just good with just a general conversation.
Sweet. Yes, indeed. That GC right there. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, that's what I'm talking about right there. Yes, indeed. Well, coming down to the question that every guest gets to receive, and that is if you were to wake up tomorrow and you were 25 again, but this time in the current year of 2020, with all of your knowledge and experience and published books, what advice would you give to yourself?
I would tell myself not to worry about what other people think. I spent way too many years worrying about other people's expectations, their judgments, not doing things because I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to do it perfectly. And you know, just do it. Just take a chance. Just do something. No one expects you to be perfect out of the door. And honestly, you never can be perfect. Everything is learning experience. Until the day you die, you're constantly learning. And you just do your best and you have fun with it and you just keep going.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Got to keep going and don't listen to the morons from the peanut gallery. Yes, indeed. Unless they're
Well, and that
promoting a
includes,
work.
yeah. Well, but that includes like ourselves too, because I really do think we're our own worst critic. We tell ourselves things that we would never say to another human being, even our worst enemy. But we have no problem, throwing all this negative stuff at ourselves. And I don't do it as often as I used to. Thankfully, I've learned to get rid of that habit for the most part. Have a day every once in a while, but it just life's too short to not take chances and to not have fun and to not see who you can be.
Amen to that. Amen to that. That is one heck of a powerful thing, though, to be able to see what you can be when you really shoot towards that and get out of the cliche comfort zone that we all like to be in and get to that true place of growth. It's almost like
And the
looking at
other
it. Oh, no, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I'm sorry. The other thing is that you're never too old to start something new. Age really is truly just a number. So if you want to do something, don't think that you're too old to do it. Just do it.
Oh, amen to that, too. Yes, indeed. That's right. That's right. If you want to fill that dream, age is just a number. Go ahead and make the magic happen. The only difference is maybe energy, depending. And
That
of
I
course,
agree with.
yes, indeed. Oh, come on, body. I put coffee in you. That wasn't enough. Ah, darn it. Gotta crank up the back. Oh, darn it. It ain't working.
I know, right?
The crank's not working.
Oh, I remember the days where I could get by on like 4 hours sleep and it'd just be, bright-eyed, bushy tail, ready to go. Now it's like, oh my gosh, it's 9:30. I need to get to bed.
Yeah, it's bedtime for me now. So, all right. Been up for too long and have to have a longer day tomorrow. Hopefully, in a good way. Let's make the magic happen. That's right, indeed. Well, speaking of those who want to make the magic happen, what's the best way for folks to reach out to you and keep up with what you're doing?
Best way is to visit my website, which is www.kristinerraymond.com, and that's Kristine with a K. And you'll find links to my books and to the Wordplay podcast and the Felonious Scribe podcast. And there's a contact me page and all sorts of good stuff. Pretty much everything is on my website. If you'd like to just visit the podcast, that is www.wordplaypodcast.com. And still working on a website for the Felonious Scribe. But if you go to YouTube and type in the Felonious Scribe, then the episodes will come up. And I'm also on Facebook. That's where I spend most of my social media time is Facebook. I do a little bit of Twitter, a little bit of Instagram, but yeah, mainly Facebook is my jam.
Strawberry or grape?
Raspberry.
Ah, even better. That's right. Facebook is a raspberry jam, y'all. That's right.
Oh, you're cracking me up.
Woo! Well, there you have it, folks. Check out the kind Kristine's website in the show notes and check out her podcasts of both the new Felonious Scribe podcast as well as Wordplay Wednesday with all the fabulous authors chatting about literary things, words, and everything that's good under the sun. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And pick out some copies of all of her books, too. Give them as a gift to your friends. Heck, even your cat. That way they can say meow when they get to a good part in the book. So,
Oh, you're so funny. Thanks so much for having me on the show. I've had a lot of fun.
oh, my pleasure indeed. Any parting words to folks still listening?
I appreciate all of you. And yeah, if you want to pick up my book, I appreciate that even more.
How's it going, you super special, awesome human? Since you made it to the end of this episode, it looks like you really enjoyed yourself. Since you enjoyed this episode, be sure to share it with at least 3 people in your network and tell them what you really liked about this episode.